ये पर इतना क्यों नहीं करना आ गया आपको भी वो कैमरा दिखा है यार इसका वो साइड आ सकता है इससे इधर की तरफ से इधर लग सकता है नहीं इधर वाला करना ही हो इधर आ सकता है इधर लगा है उस तरफ आ सकता है ये ऐसी चीज़ सबको इधर अपना कुछ बेटा पीछे पीछे
Nice to see all of you. Please sit down.
Please take your seat till the delegates are coming.
मुकेश सर को बुलाओ जल्दी मुकेश सर
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Please, sir. Our Manish, blessing also us. All the dignitaries have gathered. Everyone, please. All the dignitaries have gathered here. We are very fortunate today that we have a galaxy of eminent dignitaries in front of us. Why we have gathered, you all know. Before the inception of any function, we seek blessings from the divine, the Pitta Purush. So, following their humble petition, I humbly request Honorable President, Secretary Sir, Principal Sir to escort the dignitaries for the ceremonial land planting and the floral tribute to our founding father, K. Pandit T. Sir, please. Governor Manish also. Please, sir. Principal Sir, please. Seeking the ceremonial blessings from the divine and the Sacred.
जयति जय जय मां सरस्वती जयति वीणावादिनी जयति जय जय मां सरस्वती जयति वीणावादिनी जयति पद्मा सदा माता जयति पद्मा सदा माता जयति शुभवरदायिनी जगत का कल्याण कर मां जगत का कल्याण कर मां तू है विघ्न विनाशिनी सरस्वती जयति वीणावादिनी कमल आसन छोड़ दे माँ कमल आसन छोड़ दे माँ देख मेरी दुर्दशा शांति का दरिया बहा माँ शांति का दरिया बहा माँ फिर से जग में जननी जयति जय माँ सरस जयति वीणावादिनी.
Thank you, ma'am, for rendering such beautiful divine shlok for Ma Saraswati. We all seek guidance from the divine and the Pitru Purush, and moving further after the ceremonial and blessing. It is indeed a privilege, honor, and one of the best moments of my life are standing there in that I have to do the ceremonial about the guest. I feel so minuscule and humble to say something about this enriched personality, but yes, the proceeding has to be followed. Vice Admiral Vishnudeep Das Gupta retired. Huge round of applause for the gentleman over here who is gracing the occasion today. 38 years in the Indian Navy, more than 15 years in senior apex leadership positions, efficient in defense, strategic affairs and management. He has represented the country at national and international forums. Possesses vast experience in maritime operations, human resource management, training, change management and education. Has spoken rightly to varied audiences on maritime affairs, national security leadership. Honored by the President of India with 4 prestigious Distinguished Services Awards, namely Param Vishish Seva Medal, Ati Vishish Seva Medal, Yudh Vishish Seva Medal, Vishish Seva Medal. Was Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Navy Eastern Naval Command, the Bay of Bengal, very strategically from 1st December 2021 to 31st July 2023. Currently writing and speaking on national and maritime security issues. Visiting speaker at Institutes of Eminence and Emeritus Faculty at Rashtriya Raksha University, Gandhinagar. Subject matter expert on various maritime, military and leadership subjects at the Naval War College, Goa. Education, Bachelor of Science, Jawaharlal Nehru prestigious University, Master of Science, Nautical Sciences, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Master of Defense Studies, National University, Dhaka, Master of Philosophy, Devi Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, Master of Philosophy, University of Madras, Certificate in Project Management, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, Independent Director, Institute of New Delhi. If you see over there, education, headed Navy Education Society responsible for management of 13 schools across India, headed boards of administration of Sainik Schools, Kokunda and Bhubaneswar, and management committees of Navy Children's Schools, Delhi and Visakhapatnam. Headed Indian Navy Sports Control Group, President and Patron of Eastbourne Golf Club Visakhapatnam, Patron of INTA Visakhapatnam Chapter with Society. Think about the heritage. Give a round of applause for second and three. We have also with us the Commander Manish is also here, who unveiled INS Japan. We are having the gallery of degrees over there. Every degree is in front of us. Now I take the opportunity, first ceremony we have accomplished, to ceremonially welcome. So I humbly request Honorable President Ma'am to ceremonially welcome Admiral Vice Admiral Vishnudeep Das Ma'am. A moment. Ma'am, we have for that the protection and the environment we have done. And simultaneously, I would humbly request Ajmer sir for thanking the honorable symbol of Rajasthan, the Sapa. Sapa plays a pivotal role, sir, when we tie on someone's head this Sapa and turban. And it honors you that you have. Thank you, sir. Simultaneously, giving, presenting the shawl, Honorable Secretary Sir will, Secretary Sir, no issues. We feel very proud and privileged today. Thank you very much. If the photographer can come again, I thank you. Now, following this, I humbly request our President and Neha ma'am for the ceremonial part. Please. We are very privileged and honored indeed to have you with us, ma'am. Presenting this bamboo. I humbly request our Secretary Sir, Mr. Abushi Mishra, to ceremonially welcome Commander Manish. Please. Slowly. Commander, please. Commodore, I'm sorry. In the Commodore, Secretary Sir will also do. And now to our known guest, Commander Police. Thank you, sir, for your presence. Thank you. Now I'm really request Honorable Principal Sir to welcome our President. Just to have a symbol of welcoming of that, we ceremonially welcome Ma'am and Neha ma'am over there. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, this welcome and everything we have done, the ceremony, traditional ceremony we have done. Now for the official welcome of all the dignitaries to speaking out the emotions and what she's feeling. Fourth pillar is there.
So I am very pleased to be here at Central Academy Educating Society of India. And it is a great privilege for me and a great opportunity for me to interact with the students and the faculty of this institution. It is always my endeavor to try and speak to the younger generation and share the benefit of whatever experience I have in my life. And I'm very grateful, thankful. I congratulate the Central Academy for doing a wonderful job in grooming the young people of this generation so that they can take on responsibility in the future. Very, very happy.
Thank you. The fourth pillar of democracy, media present there. So, as a great personality there, I humbly invite on stage Honorable President for the ceremonial welcome address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 5th Pandit T.N. Mishra Memorial Lecture titled Navigating Through Life. This annual lecture stands as a tribute to the visionary late Pandit T.N. Mishra, whose principles and values continue to inspire us today. It is truly an honor to have with us today Vice Admiral Viswajit Dasgupta, a distinguished leader and a stalwart stalwart of the Indian Navy, whose exemplary service to our nation has been nothing short of inspiring. Sir, we are deeply grateful for your presence here to deliver the Pandit T. N. Mishra Memorial Lecture. Your decades of services to the nation, your leadership in safeguarding our seas, and your ability to navigate through challenges with unwavering resolve have made you a role model for generations. Beyond the accolades and achievements, you embody the values of courage, discipline, and integrity, qualities that resonate deeply with this lecture. We are equally delighted to welcome Mrs. Sarvani Rajgupta, whose gracious presence adds a sense of warmth and dignity to this gathering. A very special welcome to Commander Baneet Singh, Commanding Officer of 2 Raj Naval NCC Unit, and Mrs. Singh, whose support and presence we deeply appreciate. I also welcome the Armed Forces veterans in the audience today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to host you all. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of the members and cadets of the 2 Raj Naval NCC unit seated among us today. Your enthusiasm and commitment reflect the values we cherish and aim to uphold through events like these. To our esteemed guests, dignitaries, colleagues, and students gathered here, thank you for your gracing this occasion with your presence. It is moments like these that enrich our collective journey of learning and growth. The theme of today's lecture, Navigating Through Life, resonates deeply with the journey of leadership and perseverance, qualities that Vice Admiral Dasgupta exemplified so magnificently. Sir, we look forward to your words of wisdom, which I am certain will ignite minds, inspire hearts, and provide direction to all of us, especially the young learners gathered here. Once again, on behalf of the Central Academy Education Society, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to Vice Admiral Biswajit Das Gupta, our esteemed guest, and all of you present here today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, an exemplary personality. We are very fortunate to have amongst us. And what will be the true reflection in the spirit of an institution or a school is reflected through the singing of the school song. Present in front of you from our musical band, the school song. That is the song, sir. Dignitaries they sing daily in the assembly. This was our band, school band. That reflects the spirit of Central Academy. Here I am Manishan. Now, for enlightening us further about the lecture, about the great man, the legacy, I will humbly request Principal Sir, Mr. Ajmer, for sharing.
Good morning and a warm welcome to everyone present in the auditorium. Firstly, my humble gratitude and wishes to Honorable Vice Admiral, which will lead us with humble greetings and wishes to warm welcome and Commander Manish and treasurermen and all the dignitaries. A warm welcome to all this on this special occasion. I feel humble and blessed to be given the opportunity, and I feel honored to enlighten the audience about late Pandit T. N. Mishra, his great legacy, institution, and specifically about Pandit T. N. Mishra Memorial Lecture Series. A memorial lecture humble tribute to a personality par excellence, the founding father of Central Academy Education Society, our Janak, as they say in Hindi, Pandit T. N. Mishra. The inception is always humble, but the accomplishment is greater and larger, which aptly justifies the life journey of this great man. Born in the village of Bhatnipar in UP, a man so tedious, determined, challenged himself and began his journey towards achieving his goal. This young man's vision is what we are living on this day. A vision of social welfare pursued through the dissemination of education. He believed firmly in that education must make a child a good human being, first and foremost, and then a worthy scholar. Such beliefs and thoughts become the foundation over which the Central Academy chains of school was laid. With this unflinching confidence and determination, the first Central Academy was established in 1973 at Jaipur. After this, the man of sheer resolve, our founder, never looked back. The small sapling sowed by him grew and blossomed and has become today a tall and mighty tree, nourishing all who have come to it. Today, this organization provides education more than 1 lakh students, work to thousands of people throughout 100 schools it has realized into. If he wanted, he could have progressed into many other ventures, but his duty, values, and profound beliefs of service of society made sure that he gave his blood and sweat towards imparting education to the masses. He believed that the kind of nobility, benevolence, patriotism, and service necessary in education is now else. A thought that reverberates throughout the ethos of our culture and heritage. This was the persona of our founder, a humble yet powerful identity. A beautiful mix that is reserved for only the greats. Throughout the course of this journey, he laid foundation of another tree, which he founded Central Academy Ajmer in 1988. That plant has stood tall in its own right, with the strong roots of our founder, Pandit T. N. Mishra, and the able nurturing by our beloved President Dr. Shobha Shivam Mishra. This union has created an organization so strong that it has carved an invaluable niche for itself and has marched on with the vision and mission of our founding father. Today, we represent 4 ever-evolving branches of this tree with Central Academy Ajmer, Central Academy Kekadi, Central Academy Teachers Training College, and Central Academy Institute of Higher Education, which today is playing its part in carrying on the legacy. Every year, we organize on this solemn day lecture in memory of great visionary. We have invited renowned academicians, politicians, personalities, scientists, social workers, who with their immense knowledge and vast experience have enlightened us. But T. N. Mishra was truly our guiding lamp. And now he is shining as a bright star leading up into the future, a future that we are and we will carve through his philosophy. No quantum of words nor an amount of reverence can perfectly encapsulate the greatness that a man was. But through our small expressions, we pay our sincere respect to you, and in his hallowed name, today we set for the inaugural Pandit T. N. Mishra lecture. May you bless us in our endeavors. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the words paying legacy and the tribute. Now, before the lecture commences, let's have a quick a review of the naval history from Harappan civilization to the modern era. Navy has played a pivotal role. While Chols were successful, not Cholas, it's the colonial word. Chols were successful because they had a strong army. While Marathas were successful, they had a strong navy. So navy plays, the naval power plays the supreme role. Over there in the Chola Empire, that's why they conquered till the Rajendra dynasty over Srivijaya Empire. And what is the greatest good of history is that when the Britain defeated the Spanish Armada, played a decisive role. This is what the Navy is. We feel very proud. 16 December, we just had that Vijay Divas and the Shaurya Divas, and that's how MS Gandhi was, played a pivotal role over there. So, the moment we all have been waiting for, the lecture is commencing out, sir, and before that, a famous quote of Theodore Roosevelt, the American president, pre-war, how he said about the Navy. A good Navy is not a provocation to war. A good Navy is not a provocation to war. It is a surest guarantee of peace. He said before the war. That's a very pivotal aspect of the war. And US came to the war only because of the attack of the Navy on the Pearl Harbor, 7 December 1941. The moment you all have been waiting for, a huge round of applause for Sir Admiral Vishwajit Das sir. So the lecture commences. I humbly request everyone to please put your cell phones on the aeroplane mode and listen to it very carefully. Sir. Again request, please everyone put your cell phones on the aeroplane mode.
Hello, can you hear me here?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Good. Is there some echo, extra echo? Fine. Is it possible to switch this off?
Yeah.
See the slide better. That one. Can you see the slide behind? Can you read what's written on the slide? Not a very loud yes.
Say yes.
Anyway, you need not read the slide very much. The slide is more for me than for you. So, good morning, everybody. It's good to be here and good to be with young people because most of my time I spend with old people. So it's good to be with all of you. And before I start, I would like to I would like to thank Dr. Shobha Suman Mishra, President of the Society, for inviting me here and giving me this wonderful opportunity. I would also like to thank Neha and Arush for their great efforts at facilitating my visit and everything else they've taken care of the last decade. The principal, vice principal, staff, students of Central Academy, CO and cadets of the 2nd Rajasthan Naval Unit NCC, distinguished invitees, your veterans, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a great feeling to be here.
for a memorial lecture which is in memory of your founder. And from what little I have read on the internet about your founder, he was a person with a great vision and a great passion for education. And these are the two things that we must always think about it a bit. Because education is something which is much wider than what you study in school. It has been said that don't let schooling interfere with your education. Because there's a lot more to education than just what you learn from your books. And therefore, a lecture of this nature is basically an effort at enhancing your scope of the education. Secondly, it's about vision. Vision is something which is broad, right? There is something we have sight and we have vision. We have an opinion and we have a vision. So it is also said that don't let your opinions obstruct your vision, right? So education and the vision, these are two things that were very dear to your founder, and they are also very dear to me. So I am glad to be here, and before I start, let me first tell you that my talk is aimed at you children. It is not aimed for the first 2 or 3 benches, because many of them perhaps know much more than I do. It is aimed at you people sitting behind. And therefore, I have tried to keep it very simple. I will tell you some stories. And at your stage, you are in class 9, 10, 11. Some of you are on the threshold of starting a career. So there are a lot of things that I would like to share with you. But the difficulty in a talk like this is that when you are talking to young people, you tend to preach. You tend to say that, ye karna chahiye, wo karna chahiye, please do this, please don't do this. So I will try not to do that. So what I will do is, I will paint a broad picture of where you people stand and introduce a few concepts, a few attitudes which might help you to negotiate your life as you go on in years. So I am not going to give you any magic formula for success. I will only tell you what I think I have learned over the last 40-45 years in my working life and try to see whether that is of any use to you. So how we are going to do this is, I will tell you first that we need to be grateful. Why we need to be grateful for what we are doing where we are. Right? All the time we find that we are crying, we are complaining, and we are not liking things that we do. But there is much more to be grateful about. Second, I heard your school song. I heard the vision of your founder. And it is all about working for the country. It's about working for your nation. And therefore, I will tell you, all of you, what you must understand by being an Indian, a nationalist Indian. All of you are Indians? Yes, no? Yes. So, I will try to tell you what it means to be an Indian. Because that is the core of nationalism. You have to work for the country, you must know what it is to be an Indian. Then I will touch upon what you might expect in the future. The future is very uncertain. Why it is uncertain? I will try to tell you why the future is uncertain. Then, all of us think that we are going to be successful in life. If I become an engineer, I will be successful. If I become a doctor, I will be successful. If I make a lot of money, I will be successful. If I buy a Mercedes car, I will be successful. So I will try to give you some insights into what might constitute success or failure for you. And finally, I will introduce a few concepts and attitudes. I am not going to tell you what to do, how to do it. I am only going to tell you that these are certain things which you might like to keep in mind as you move into the future. Okay, now why we must be grateful? If you see this visual, you know, the top is about men and the bottom line is about women. These are about 15% of Indian men and 10% of Indian women complete a higher education. As far as people sitting there in the audience, all of you will complete a higher education. That means you are in that 10 and 15% bracket of the Indian population that is fortunate enough to complete a higher education. That is the first reason why we should be grateful. The number of people who drop out of schools in primary, secondary, subsequently, because they don't have money, because they have to work, or because simply the environment is not good, is phenomenal in a country like India. So you people are the very, very fortunate lot that all of you are going to be masters and PhDs and professionals in a few years from now. Many more reasons why we should be grateful. Let me tell you a story. You know, there was a teacher who came into a class and suddenly said, "Children, I am going to give you a test." So the children were surprised and they were wondering what test is the teacher going to give us. So what the teacher did, she put one sheet of paper upside down on every child's desk and said, "Don't touch the paper." So when all the papers were on everybody's desk, she said, "Okay, now turn the paper around and whatever you see on that paper, write 3 lines about it." So the children turned the paper around. It was a blank paper with one black dot in the center. So the children racked their brains, they wrote something, and everybody wrote their answers, and the teacher took the papers back. And she read out the answers to the students. Everybody had written about the black dot, how big it is, whether in the center of the paper or the side of the paper, what is the color, is it dark grey or black, and all that. So everybody described it very beautifully. So the teacher said, "Look, all of you have concentrated on the black dot. Nobody has concentrated on the rest of the white around the black dot." Which means we tend to concentrate only on the negatives of life. So whenever you find that you're not feeling good about something, think about the so many other things that you should be feeling good about. Right? So this is the black dot story, which I think is very good for you to remember, that we must be grateful. There is no poverty in all of you. I'm talking about you specifically. Why you should be grateful. There is no poverty in this hall. You are attending a good school in a big city. You have adequate exposure. You have exposure to city life, you have exposure to information, you have exposure to the internet, you have exposure to good schools, teachers, everything. It's a clean and secure environment. You should see some of the government schools. You should see some of the schools in the villages. This kind of a clean and secure environment you will not get in 90% of India. Your parents and teachers care about you. They have the time to look after your education. I have seen many young students whose parents are from very humble beginnings, daily wage earners and various other things, who have such a tremendous difficulty going through schools. None of you have that problem. You are completely enabled by information. Everything that you want is one mouse click away. We should be grateful for this. You don't have to visit the library. Today, a mobile phone has got more information than the ancient library of Alexandria. Right? Everything is at your fingertips. More reasons why we should be grateful. Dropout rates of children. By secondary school, 12.6% of our children drop out of school. The gross enrollment ratio for higher education is 28%. That means 28% of all children in India will enroll for higher education, out of which some will drop out. And eventually 15% of men and 10% of women will complete higher education. Right? All of you will complete higher education. All of you, without exception. The multi-dimensional poverty index in India is about 15%. That means 15% of Indian children cannot afford an education. Right? The mean years of schooling, that means on an average, a child in India completes 6.57 years of school. All of you have crossed 10, and you will cross another, what knows how many more. 50% of Indian children have no access to quality education after primary school. And you are perhaps studying in one of the better schools in the country. The youth unemployment ratio is about 16%. That means 16% of our youth do not have jobs. It is unlikely to happen to any of you. You will be in the remaining 85%. Right? So many reasons for us to be grateful. Right. So, firstly, let's be grateful. Now, let me tell you something about what we should understand by nationalism. Nationalism means being an Indian. Okay, I will tell you with examples so that you understand. So, you must be studying in your civics and history and geography books. We talk about nation, we talk about state, we talk about country. Isn't it? Sometimes we use the terms interchangeably. We call India a nation, we call India state, we call India a country. You know the difference between the three? There has to be a difference, otherwise why are we calling it by different names, right? So, a nation is a body of people, right? You and me, it's a body of Indians who have had a common past and share a vision of a common future, right? We are all Indians. We know that we have had independence struggle, we have had Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we have Dr. Radhakrishnan, we had various other things, we fought the 71 war, all that. And we have a vision of a common future. All of us want Amrit Kal. We want Atmanirbhar Bharat. We want India to become a developed nation, isn't it? So, this is a body of people that is called a nation. Right? So, if this is a body of people that's called a nation, what is the state? In the natural condition, human beings, if you leave them in the natural condition, chaos will prevail. Right? That is the state of nature. The state of nature is chaotic. That means if you don't have rules and regulations, we'll fight with each other and we'll kill each other. Or we'll do something very silly. Therefore, a state is a number of mechanisms which tries to create order in the chaos. That means you have a government, you have a judiciary, you have laws, you have a constitution, you have schools, you have various education systems, you have a prison, you have... So, it is trying to create order in the chaos. So, if there is no state mechanism, the human race will degenerate into chaos. That is why it's called a state. So, when you call India, sometimes you call it nation, sometimes you call it a state, sometimes you call it a nation state. India is a nation state. What does it mean? We are a group of people who have a common outlook. We are governed by common laws. The nation. Right? Now what's the country? Nation and state तो हमने समझ लिया. Country क्या है? A country is a geographical entity of borders. Right? So next time when you talk to people about nation, state, country, understand the difference. It will create a lot of clarity in your mind. कि हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? Okay. Now, I am coming to nationalism slowly, right? So, the human beings, have been in this world for about 2 million years. And about 70,000 years ago onwards, we became hunters and gatherers. That means we used to hunt for our food, we used to gather our weeds and all that, and fruits and all that, and we used to eat to survive. It is only about 10,000 years or so since the agricultural revolution happened, which means we started growing our food, we started domesticating animals. गाय पालना शुरू कर दिया हमने घर में, कुत्ते पालने शुरू कर दिया हमने. We started taking wild weeds from the jungle and we started growing it as our khana. That was the agricultural revolution. When that happened, something happened along with it. What happened along with it? People came together and started settling down in one place. Earlier, people used to move around. Now you settle. When you settle down, you become a family, you became a tribe, you became a clan, you became a city, and you kept growing. You became a country. Today, we are a country with huge landmass, with huge water areas. 1.45 billion people. It started with a family or a tribe or a village. Right? Today we are a nation of 1.45 billion. So what? So countries and large cities came about. We were speaking in the morning that Ajmer has got a population of 10 lakh. 10 lakh. Delhi and Bombay have got a population of 20 million, 30 million. That's the kind of population we have in our region. So, how do you cooperate? Suppose you have 1.45 billion compatriots. How many of them can you know? We are supposed to work as a nation. You don't know anybody. Maybe if you take all your contacts on your mobile phone, your relatives, your friends, your school, it will not be more than 200 people. So, you know 200 people out of 1.45 billion in your country. Right? How are you going to cooperate with these people? Difficult problem. So what do we need? We need three things. We need stories, we need symbols, we need heroes. Stories are what I told you. Your independence struggle, your Amrit Kaal story, your growth story, your white revolution, your green revolution, all that you studied in your books. These are stories. You believe in it. At one point in time, we were deficit in food. We didn't have enough milk to drink in our houses when we were children. Today, you will not even think of that scarcity. Can any of you ever think that there can be a scarcity of milk? You can't. But in our childhood, there was scarcity of milk. So that is a story. we said, okay, Dr. Kurian is our hero. Right? Amul Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation is our hero. They are the people who got together and made sure that India did not have a milk scarcity beyond a point. So these are the stories. Symbols. What are symbols? What is your Republic Day parade? What is your Ashoka capital? What is your national flag? Right? What is the Supreme Court? These are symbols. These are symbols if all of us understand. Our stories, all of us understand. We need heroes. You need Sachin Tendulkar. You need Mukesh, who won the World Championship chess 2 days ago. You remember that song which won the Grammy Award, Natu Natu? You heard the Natu Natu song? Okay. Now, when these people won the Grammy Award, you felt happy? Felt happy? Did feel happy? Felt happy? Why? Is that Natu Natu fellow your brother or sister? No? Not your brother, no? You felt happy because you're an Indian. You felt happy because there's a common story. You felt happy because now these people have become your heroes. This is nationalism. This is what I mean by being a nationalist Indian. If you are bound together by stories, by heroes, by symbols, by a vision of a common future, that is nationalism. At the end of my talk, I will ask you a small question before I give you an answer. Then you'll realize where I'm getting at all this money. So the feeling of nationalism is my country is unique. It is not the best. It is not the worst, but my country is unique. And my country is unique. I have certain special responsibilities towards my country. What are these special responsibilities? You will ask me. Good question. So before you ask me, let me tell you what are these special responsibilities. All of you have read something called the Indian Constitution. Would have read something? You know, your class 9, 10 people. So in the Indian Constitution, there is something called fundamental rights. You know, given a fantastic. So there are 6 fundamental rights in the Constitution. But one thing which is lesser known is that there are 11 fundamental duties also. That is found in Part 4A of our Constitution. So if you ever want to know, I am not going to ask you whether you know or not, because I don't think many people will know all 11. So if you ever want to know what is your special responsibility towards your country, just open the Constitution chapter 4A and read those 11 fundamental duties. They are your special responsibilities towards your nation. Right? Read it this evening. Okay. Now I want to ask you a broad question. When you hear the word patriotism, what is the image that comes to your mind? Anyone tell me? Quickly. Patriotism. What image comes to your mind? Mahatma Gandhi? Soldier?
India's flag.
Huh?
India's flag.
India's flag. Very good. What else? Okay. Difficult question. That's why I asked you. So patriotism does not necessarily come in a military uniform. You know, when you talk of patriotism, people talk about Shaheed and Army and Navy and Air Force. Yes, they do a good job. But patriotism does not necessarily come in a military uniform. Will you consider Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam a patriot? Yes. Will you consider Mukesh a patriot? Yes. Will you consider Pandit Rabindranath Tagore as a patriot? Would you consider your founder as a patriot? Yes. Yes. So, everyone can be a patriot. Everyone, all of you sitting here can be a patriot. How? It is the feeling with which you do your work that counts. A person who is in the corporate world is also a patriot. That fellow is working, you know how corporate people work? They work from morning 8 to 10 o'clock in the night, they're sitting on the computer at home. They're making money, let them make money, but what are they doing? Aren't they working for the improvement of the country? So if they are working for the improvement country, aren't they patriots? So all of you, do you have the potential of being a patriot? Fantastic. So you have to try to think now how you want to do it in the future. So the investment in a shared vision, we have a vision for the future, you have to work towards it. Now I'll come to this again at the end of the lecture. See, shouting slogans, hoisting national flag, saying, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat is not good enough. It's all right. It's all right to, garner support and feel good about life. But eventually it is your work that counts. How you are going to contribute to the growth of the nation, how you contribute to the growth of society, how you are going to look after your family, how are they going to be good citizens in the future, that is what we say. Now, anyone can be a patriot, from the highest official or the richest person to the common citizen. Now, please don't consider that the higher one goes, he becomes a bigger patriot. No, he can become a bigger thief also. So you must understand this, it is not necessary. Patriotism doesn't come with seniority or age or with importance or with, that kind of stuff. It doesn't. Patriotism comes with your internal nature. So you may be a very high-ranking official in the government, but you may be a thief. You may not be a patriot. Alright? Okay. So now we have understood nationalism, we have understood what is patriotism, right? Now let me give you a perspective on what the future may look like. Right? Any of you have got a brother or sister who is 6 years old? Anyone? Lots of them. Alright. Now that brother or sister of yours is entering class 1. 6 साल बच्चा है, right? Entering class 1. That bacha will enter the workspace after 16 years. In the year 2041. Right? 2041 में, that child will finish class 12 and enter into professional education or something like that. Right? And then they'll become a professional, become businessman, become entrepreneur, something. And then there'll be 40 years of working life. That means your 6-year-old brother or sister is going to work till the year 2081. You have any idea what the world is going to look like in 2081? I had no idea that the world is going to look like this 10 years back. Right? So it is a very uncertain future. We do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. We do not know what is going to happen 5 years hence. The government will change, many things might change. There might be a war, something will change. People never realize in Syria or in Ukraine or Russia that their lives are going to be changed in the manner that has not changed. Right? So, we are heading towards a very uncertain future. Even if you know what's happening, pretty stable. India is a pretty stable country. But even then, it is very difficult for you or me or anyone sitting in this audience or even the Prime Minister today to predict what will happen 5 years after. They can make promises, but whether it will happen or not, even the poor Prime Minister doesn't know. So we have no idea. And therefore, how are we so sure that the knowledge that you are gaining over here will not be obsolete in 5 years' time? हम अपना मार्क पीट के we'll get into engineering college and we'll do something and we'll do some professional education. In 5 years that will be obsolete. At the pace technology is going, all of us will become obsolete at some point in time. I have already become obsolete. You people will also become obsolete in some time. So you must realize that we are moving at a pace towards an uncertain future where our current skills may not suffice. You may have to keep upskilling yourself. So a broad-based education is important. Even if you are a professional engineer or an accountant, you must have a broad knowledge of everything else. So that in case you have to make a switch at any point in time, you must have that broad-based understanding of things. That is education. That is beyond schooling. That is what I was trying to tell you in my opening remarks. That don't confuse schooling with education. Alright? Try to read more. Try to see more good programs on television. Try to hear a little more wisdom from your elders or your parents or your teachers. That is education. Talk to foreigners, go abroad, travel if you can. That is education. So continuous and contemporary skilling will be necessary. So today, artificial intelligence has become the buzzword. All engineers and technology people are very worried about artificial intelligence. So what is the best thing to do? Learn about it. Isn't it? Rather than sitting at home and saying, oh, I don't know anything. Might as well learn about it so that when, life comes to you to say that what do you know about AI, you will know something. Right? Right. Now I have given you all this gyan. You people are youth. What is your responsibility? Do you have responsibility or you don't have responsibility? Excellent. I am glad that these two of you have said that. When I was a child, I felt I had no responsibility. All responsibility to my parents, my teachers, and everybody else. But if as youth you have responsibility, what is your responsibility? So let me tell you what is youth. The United Nations defines youth as people between 15 and 24 years of age. But this is only for statistical purposes. As far as I am concerned, anybody from the age of 16 or 15 to working age of say 64, 65 is youth as far as I am concerned. That means you are actively contributing towards the growth of the country or your community or society or whatever it is. Right? India has a very youthful profile. That means 67.5% of our population is in the working age. Right? Our median age is 28.7 years. Median age in the country, which is a very young population. And this population trend will continue till the year 2070, where it will plateau and then start increasing. So this is the strength that we have at this point in time. The time available for us now to make a change for the country is between today and 20, 50, 60 or thereabouts. This is the window that the youth have to capitalize on. Because all of you, without exception, will be in the working age at this time. So you have 30 to 40 years of working life ahead of you, all of you. How are you going to make that count? This is something that you have to think about. How am I going to become a nationalist Indian? How am I going to contribute to my country? How am I going to make my working life count for the next 30 to 40 years? You have to start thinking now. So what can you do? It is no point saying that, look, I want to make sure that I do something against climate change. Right? If you think you want to do something against climate change, please equip yourself for it. Don't, sit for examinations just because your peers are sitting or your parents or your teachers have told you. You say that, look, this is what I want to do. How can I equip myself for this? Your parents, teachers, somebody will be able to guide you. That you please go in this direction, but maybe you will be able to fulfill your aspirations. Many times we find that we get into areas where we have never wanted to be in the first place. Many engineers and all these people, they run away join IAS, IFS, civil services. Many people who have studied professionally for one job eventually decide after 2-3 years that they don't want to do that anymore. They go somewhere else. So that is life. Sometimes people say life is a series of accidents. It's not. You have to prepare so that you don't get into an accident. Right? So your responsibility is that you have to fill the space of the previous generation. That means people before you who have done their work in life and they have gone, you have to fill up that space. Right? That is your responsibility. And fill that space responsibly. Alright. So with this background, let me come to some attitudes and concepts that you might like to remember as you get on with life. First is success and failure. What do we understand by success and failure? Some people think that success is the person who dies with the most money in the bank. You're so rich that you have so much money and the next day you die, you're successful. Some people feel that if I collect degrees, I am successful. Some people feel that if I am a good parent, I am successful. Or a good teacher, I am successful. So there are different definitions of success. You have to define success for yourself. If you think making money is success for you, work towards it. At some point in time, you might feel, okay, now that's not giving me adequate kick out of life. For me now, definition is to help somebody, or start a business, or provide employment to people. That might become your definition of success. So your definition of success and failure will keep changing as you move through life. And success and failure are never final. You must remember, there are many people who have been considered failures at some point in time in their lives. But eventually they became very successful people. If you read in the books or on the net, Edison invented the light bulb. That was his 1000th experiment. He had failed 999 times. The 1000th experiment was the light bulb, which revolutionized the world. So were those 999, were they failures actually? Or were they stepping stones to success? Right? So, everything is not a failure. Sachin Tendulkar is a class 10 pass out. Are you going to consider him failure? He's the god of cricket. So, success, no? So, definitions might change. Elvis Presley, have you heard of Elvis Presley? Elvis Presley, very famous singer of the 1950s and 60s. When he went first time for a music audition, the people who were taking the audition, he turned out to be one of the most famous singers in the world. So, success and failure, it doesn't mean if somebody tells you you're not good at this, you're not bad at this, you follow what is in your heart. Right? So, how you deal with failure is important. Do you consider it to be depressing or do you consider it to be a challenge? And move ahead is something what you need to understand. And there is no instant formula for success. You have to work at it. Like I said, your idea of success will change with time, with maturity, when you get more inputs, when you become older, when you become more mature, you get more responsibility, your idea of success will change. You know, you're a very professional, ambitious individual. When you get married and you start a family, there might be a change in your mindset as to what constitutes success. In addition to being a good professional, do I need to be a good father? Do I need to be a good husband? Do I need to be a good son or daughter to my parents? They also could matter. They could form a part of your success or failure matrix. Right? You may do well, you may not do well in your own assessment, but it will change. The next concept or attitude that I want to suggest to you is do things for the right reason. Why are you pursuing an education? Why do you want to go abroad? Why do you want to sit for engineering entrance test? Why have you created an Instagram account? Because everybody else is doing so. Right? Because my parents said so. Because this is how it has always been done in our family. These are not the right reasons, not necessarily the right reasons. They could be. But whenever you try to do something, do a little bit of thinking yourself and see, are you doing this for the right reason? You will find an answer 90% of the time. If you are in doubt, you will ask somebody, they will give you some guidance. Hopefully they will give you the right guidance. Next concept is need versus greed. You know, Mahatma Gandhi had said something very good in his lifetime. He said the world has enough for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. And this is what we are seeing playing out in the world today. You know, if you ask me, every problem in this world, whether it is starting from families or societies or countries, between countries, every problem, the underlying reason is greed. Whether it is greed for money, it is greed for power, it is greed for recognition, whatever it is. But all the problems in this world are because of this one reason. How are you going to handle it? I don't know. Very difficult. So needs are minimal, greed is unsatiable. You will get something today, you will want something better tomorrow. You will get something better tomorrow, you will want something even better day after tomorrow. So you will have to see, balance your aspirations with some kind of maturity. So it takes a while today, you know, to understand this, because today everything is available at your fingertips. Perhaps your parents can afford everything for you. Today you think of something, you order it on the net and you get it tomorrow. So, and often maybe you don't need it so badly, but you like to have it just for, you know. Sometimes it's good to have kicks also, but most of the time it is to do with a little bit of greed. So this is what I said, greed for money, status, power, development, authority, material gains, all these are reasons for every conflict in every family, in every society, in every part of the world. You sit and think about why the president of Syria, Mr. Bashar al-Assad, had to run away from his country. Or you think why Russia and Ukraine had to go for war. It is some kind of greed. Whether it is greed for money, greed for power, whether it is greed for territory, that I want this territory, that territory. So it is some greed somewhere which is putting the world into chaos. Why do we have nuclear weapons? Greed for power. If I have nuclear weapons, I have power over my adversaries. Why are we having climate change problems? It's a greed for development. It's a greed for wealth. So this is something I think which is very, very difficult to balance. If you can balance it in your life, you can give yourself 10 out of 10. So this is a human thing. It cannot be corrected by anyone else but yourself, but ourselves, but myself. Right? So the finger has to be pointed towards yourself. So how do we start? We start talking about it in schools, at homes, and various other things. They are the only people we listen to. Sometimes we listen to our parents, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we listen to our teachers, many times we don't. But beyond that, we don't listen to anybody. So we start small. The next concept I want to introduce to you is the concept of ownership. Tell me, will you allow anybody to spit on the wall of your house?
No, sir.
But we are okay with people spitting on the roadsides. Right? So, what does it really mean? It means that we have taken ownership of our house, but we have not taken ownership of our society or our country or our city. Isn't it? I feel guilty about it because if I find somebody urinating on the wall or spitting on the roadside, I don't stop it. Because if I try to stop that fellow, he might, turn around and hit me or kill me with this kind of, the situation that is there in the country. But eventually it is a sense of ownership, a sense of collective ownership that the society must have. So start small. If you are in a position to do something about it, do something about it, conduct drives. If you're part of NCC or NSS or whatever it is, let these be your trust areas. There are many ways things can be. All of you have traveled in taxis, I suppose. Some of you may have traveled abroad. You find that if you get into a taxi, many of the taxis are very dirty. The seats are torn, they're smelling, the driver is ill-mannered. Some taxis you go inside, they're very nice, spick and spans, very nice. Driver is good, he talks properly to you. The difference is ownership. You ask the driver. The good chap will own the taxi. The other fellow will be driving it for some owner. 100%. I give it to you rightly. So, this is again another example of ownership. Mom's kitchen. I like to give this example. Why don't you find the same taste of food outside in some restaurant compared to what your mother cooks for you at home? You cannot eat the restaurant food for more than 2 days at a stretch. You will fall ill, you will fall sick. But why you like home food that has been cooked by your mother is because the mother has taken ownership of the kitchen. The mother has taken ownership of the utensils, mother has taken ownership of the dal chawal, has taken ownership of the chula and everything else. More importantly, your mom has taken ownership of the children. Right? That is the difference. Therefore, you have to see that in your school, for example. In Japan, every day, the children of their school, they clean their own school before they leave after their school. Everybody cleans up the school and goes home. Why? Nobody asked them to do it. It's a sense of ownership which is cultural in Japan. In 2008, there was a World Cup football match being held somewhere in South Africa. Again, Japan had lost its last match and was going back home. After the match, the entire Japanese fans got together and cleaned up the stadium before they went back. People asked them, what are you doing? They said, we do this in our own country also. What is new? So that is the sense of ownership. If you are dirty your own school, if your, for example, if your school bathrooms are dirty, you might think about whether I have taken ownership of my school or not. Right? And similarly, whether it is the society in which you live, the building, your home, and whatever else it is. So I said it is time we started taking ownership beyond what we possess. See, ownership is not possession. That's what I'm trying to say. That means I will only look after what I possess. That is not ownership. You look after whatever you feel for, whatever is in your lifespan, in your life environment, you look after it. That is ownership. It is the feeling of belonging and common purpose. All of you belong to the school, all of you belong to a certain society. It is obligatory upon you to look after it. Again, let me take you back to chapter 4A of the Constitution. I would strongly recommend to the school that please take a printout of that chapter and place it in your main notice board for everybody to read every day. Diversity, another concept, idea. No two people are equal. No two people are identical. Even identical twins are not absolutely the same. If you ask the mother of twins which is one and which is the other, without opening her eyes, she will tell you, yeah. What I'm trying to get at is each of you is very, very different. And therefore, you need not do what everybody else is doing or what your friend is doing or what your neighbor is doing. One more story. In the jungle, there was a monkey who was a teacher. I'm not asking any aspersions towards teachers. But the monkey was a teacher, and that monkey had many students. One was giraffe, one was the hippopotamus, one was the peacock. And the teacher gave the story, gave the test to the students, and I want to see who comes first. Please climb up this tree and come down. Do you think the giraffe could have climbed the tree ever? So, there is great diversity amongst ourselves. Our talents are different, our skill sets are different, our attitudes are different, our upbringing is different, our interests are different. And therefore, you cannot expect to be similar to anybody else in your class, in your society, in your neighborhood. Anyway. So what happens is, in our system of education, unfortunately it is changing with the NEP trying to make some amendments to our education policy. But what happens is we have a lot of standardized testing. And because we have standardized syllabi, standardized testing, it does not necessarily optimize the diversity among our people. The aim of these new education policies is trying to bring in much more liberal education, trying to bring in a lot more acceptance of diversity. That is one of the main aims of the NEP. Now let me tell you another story. This is called the ADHD story. All of you know what is ADHD? No? What is it called? Acute? No? Hyperactivity disorder. You've not heard of this? Okay. ADHD is what is that? Acute what's D? No, that's the second D. It is acute something which is basically disinterest or something. I'm forgetting the ADHD. The second D. Just have a look at it. So it is that and hyperactivity disorder. Basically, what happens is attention deficit. Sorry, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, which means that somebody is very fidgety. You know, from one thing to the other, not sitting in one place steadily, and doing all sorts of things lying around. So there was this little girl who the mother thought had ADHD. She was very fidgety, running around from here to there, dancing, getting onto some table, climbing down, and doing all sorts of things. So the mother was very, very upset. The mother took her to the psychiatrist and said, "Look, my daughter has got ADHD. Do something about it." So the doctor said, "Okay, come inside." They took the daughter, spoke to the daughter, and told the mother, "Please come out of the room with me. I have got something to discuss with you." And when the doctor left the room with the mother, he just switched on the music and went out. Closed the door, and from the peephole, the doctor showed the mother, "Take a look at your child." So when the music started playing, the girl broke into a dance. And she was dancing beautifully. So they watched her for some time, no hyperactivity, no jumping, no nothing. But she is dancing to the music very happily. So the doctor told the mother, "Your daughter doesn't have ADHD, she's a dancer." And this girl grew up to be one of the most celebrated choreographers in Europe. So each of us has got a different talent, and if you try to make an engineer out of a dancer, you're unlikely to succeed. So we must optimize our abilities. There will be pressure. Society will be there to pressure. Parents will pressurize. Your peers will pressurize you. Everybody is doing this. मेरे को भी करना चाहिए. We have to stand up to that pressure. Right. So now I come to another concept of creativity and talent. We all talk about this, but we must understand what it is. So what is the difference between creativity and talent? No, talent is an innate ability. That means you are born with it. If you are a dancer, you are a dancer. If you are a singer, you are a singer. If somebody holds a gun to my head, I cannot dance. Today also. So if anybody at my childhood tried to make me a dancer, that person would have failed miserably. Right? Similarly, Shakuntala Devi, she had a way with numbers. Can you ever get that, teach that in school? It's a talent which you were born with, perhaps. But talent must be recognized. Like I told you, Elvis Presley, the people told him you can't sing. Right? Somebody has to recognize that talent and nurture it. Creativity can be developed. Now, all of us think that creativity is only possible by artists or people who roam around bare feet and carry jholas in their arms, all that. No such thing. Creativity can be developed. Even the most routine thing can be done creatively. Let me give you an example. The school is organizing a memorial lecture. There are 50 ways in which you can organize it. Right? It depends on the ingenuity, on the creativity of the person who is being given the responsibility. Right? The most routine administrative work I have seen in my 40 years of working life, the most routine administrative work has been done so beautifully by people that it looks like a work of art. A visit, somebody is coming. Just somebody is coming to visit your establishment. The manner in which you conduct it, you can actually show a lot of creativity. So it's not necessarily that you have to be an artist to be creative. So now if I ask you the question, how creative are you? You will not be able to answer. Difficult. If I ask any of you, how creative are you? मुश्किल है कोई मेरे को आंसर. But if I ask you, how are you creative? Maybe you'll be able to answer. Then you'll start thinking, what is it that I can do first? And then you'll start thinking, what is it I can do different? How can I do it a little better? How can I do it a little more artistically? How can I do it a little more efficiently? That is true. Another very important concept that I want to suggest to you is competition and comparison. This is one of the biggest problems that all of us face in school life and college life. Like we have already agreed that each person is unique, right? We have all agreed that each person is unique. Our abilities differ in different disciplines. Why is it important to come first? Is it so important to come first? Your abilities are different. You cannot come first. If you are so good, you will always come first. But why is it so important that I must come ahead of the other person? Abilities are not the same. I remember I changed schools many times in my childhood. I was in a school in Bombay. I was a cat's whisker there. I used to come first every time. I shifted, went to Calcutta. The first exam I failed. Because what was good in Bombay was not good in Calcutta. And the competition was much better. There were people who were 100 times better than I was. Right? So our abilities are different, you remember? Then we take tuitions. And yet we don't seem to match the best students in class. A person who is good at mathematics is innately good at mathematics. You can take all the tuitions in the world. It is unlikely you will beat that guy. You might come close, you might get that number more. But you will not be able to come first. You will not be able to beat the guy who is innately good at mathematics. So do not compare with peers. Do not compare with past. What will you compare with? Compare with the possible. Is this the best that I could do? Can I do a little better? If I can do a little better, do I need a little help from somebody? Will somebody be able to help me? So you try to perform at the best of your ability. Don't try to perform at the best of your neighbor's ability. You may not be able to. I'm sorry, the next thing that I want to tell you is getting out of the comfort zone. You know, all of us reside in some kind of comfort zones. And these, we lead sheltered lives, you know, they are caused by the care of our parents, our teachers, etc. Very sheltered lives we lead. And we are in some comfort zone. कुछ करने को हमको अच्छा लगता है, कुछ करने को हमको दिक्कत होती है. We don't want to do certain things because they are difficult. Because our parents, our teachers, our school, etc., our cars and our travel plans and all, they made it so comfortable for us. So we develop physical, mental and social comforts over time, right? So, another story, there was a hunter in a kingdom. There was a hunter who got two eaglets, you know, eaglets, eagle ka bacha. Two eaglets to the king. and said that I have now got 2 eaglets, I am presenting it to the king. The king was very happy that this hunter has given me 2 eaglets. He told the hunter, you please teach these 2 eaglets how to fly. Come back after 1 week and tell me how they are doing. So he came back after 1 week. He said that, sir, one of the eaglets is flying very well, and the second eaglet is just not flying. It is flying from the branch and coming back and sitting on the branch. I am unable to make this eaglet fly. So the king said, I will give a reward of 20 gold coins to whoever can make the second eaglet fly. So when farmer came, he said, can I try? He said, yeah, go and try. So after 1 week, the farmer came back and said, sir, come and see, both your eaglets are flying beautifully. So the king came and saw that this is wonderful. There was a flying only. He said, what did you do? He said, I just cut off the branch on which that eaglet was sitting. So there is no place to sit. You have to get out of your comfort zone if you have to do something better. So there you are. Now I come to something important. All of you will like to hear this. You've heard of brain rot?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Now, brain rot is a word which is trending in the Oxford Dictionary in the year 2024. The highest trending word is brain rot. And brain rot means that your mental faculties are getting impaired because of gadget fixation, because of too much of screen time. Right? So, what is it all about? Motorola, these 2 gentlemen, John Mitchell and Martin Cooper, they made the first hand phone in 1973. And this became commercially available in 1983, after 10 years. This was the forerunner to the smartphone that all of us carry today. 40 years have passed since then. There has been a convergence of technologies. That means many technologies in the electronic sphere, in the communication sphere, have converged onto a small device which is 6 inches by 3 inches. Right? So why do we spend so much time on gadgets? Is it responsible use or is it addiction? Many people say blanket that use of mobile phones is bad, please throw it out. But I think we need to take a little more nuanced view on this. If you were to sit back and think, what is it that we do on mobile phones today? And why are we spending so much time on mobile phones? We talk to people, we send messages, we send videos, we watch movies, we do banking, we read magazines, we order food on Zomato. Everything, we even pay the subsidy mobile phone. So everything that you did by other means, today you are doing on the smartphone. So is it really very surprising that you are spending more time? May not be that surprising. The line to be drawn is, what is responsible use? Every age has had a gadget of its time. Like I said, when we were hunter-gatherers many thousand years ago, the gadget of our time was a stick. You had a stick to either kill an animal or to save yourself. You did not use the stick to hit a child on the head and injure him. The smartphone is the gadget of the day today. Like it or not, it is the gadget of the day today. So, what is important is responsible use. How much should you use? How much should you not use? Very addictive. The smartphone is responsible for release of a hormone called dopamine. Dopamine is released when you take drugs, when you smoke cigarettes, when you take alcohol. So it is as addictive as these nashas. So how do you handle drug abuse? How do you handle alcohol intake? How do you handle smoking? You do it under control, isn't it? If you don't do it under control, you're going to become a druggie, or you're going to become an alcoholic, or you're going to die of lung cancer. Similar thing might happen with mobile phone use, smartphone use. So we have to run away from the smartphone. We have to use it responsibly. But there are certain things we can seriously avoid. For example, when you go to restaurants and you find four people sitting there, all four sitting on their mobile phones and not talking to each other, why go to the restaurant in the first place? Zarurat hi nahi. Sit at home. So responsible use is key. Now, one of the last points: stress, anxiety, and depression. All of us suffer from this. Do you get stressed watching movies? Stressed watching movies? Anybody? You get stressed when you're on a vacation? Why? Why not? Do you get stressed if you are to write exams? Yes. Deliver a speech? Dance? Why do you get stressed? Then you should get stressed also by watching a movie. No? Very difficult question to answer. Mirabai Chanu. Mirabai Chanu, you heard of weightlifter, Indian weightlifter, icon, hero? Now she is lifting 200 kgs. Is she stressed? Right? Lifting 200 kgs, by God, twice your weight, 2.5 times your body weight. I'll be that stressed. So what causes stress? So independent of what you do, is how you do a thing that causes stress. If you're inspired, if you like to do something, it's unlikely to cause you stress. But if you're forced to do something, or you don't like to do something, हो सकता है. There were 3 stone breakers who were sitting and breaking stones. Okay, one after the other. And there was some construction going on this side. So there were tourists came and asked the first chap, "What are you doing?" This is a silly question you are asking. Can't you see I'm breaking stones, silly chap? You don't have any brains. Go away. So he went to the second person, asked the same question, "Why are you breaking stones?" "You know what to do. I have a family of 4 to feed. I have to make money. This is the only job I have, and therefore I am breaking stones." Goes to the third person and asks him, "Why are you breaking stones?" The third person says, "I am building a temple." So it is the attitude with which you are breaking stones that counts. So the third person is unlikely to be stressed breaking stones, whereas the first person perhaps may be. And depression is an extreme form of stress or anxiety. So what happens when depression kicks in is there are very strong emotions and very extreme thoughts, but in the wrong direction. It can trigger extreme actions like suicide and substance abuse. It doesn't help anybody. You can be stressed, anxious, you can be depressed, but if you resort to drugs or alcohol or suicide, it's not helping anybody. Least of all, it's not helping you. Yeah. So life is larger than the individual or one failure. If something happens to you, people will cry for 2 days and forget about you. Rest assured. Life will go on. The world will not come to an end because you are depressed. Right? So we have to be careful how you handle situations when you are stressed or depressed. Some individuals may need help, parents are there, teachers are there, psychologists are there, lots of help is available. So even if somebody is not feeling so good, feeling down, there is a way out. And breaking the problem into smaller parts is very important. So if you are stressed or anxious, it is very important to understand why. And if you break it down into smaller problems, maybe you will understand. Now another story. No, we are often asked to make binary choices. Is this good? Is this bad? Yes or no? Black or white? Hindu or Muslim? Okay? Believer, non-believer, engineering or medicine. You know, they'll say, ये करना है कि वो करना है? 0, 1. Not everything in this world is binary. There could be many shades of grey in between. That means there are huge possibilities between the choice of 0 and 1. And that is something which we have to realize. A single choice is often a reason for conflict. If somebody tells you either you are with me or you are with the other camp, a sure short formula for a fight. So there can be middle paths, there can be many shades of grey in between. So avoid getting cornered by binary choices. Now this is my last point, the power of thinking. I will leave you with this point. This is another very popular story, some of you must have heard it. There was a small boy who went to the village and he found that outside one villager's house there was an elephant which was tied to a pole with a rope around its leg. Big elephant. And it was standing there quite happily. So this child went to that house and asked that villager who was a mahout. You understand a mahout? Yeah. So the elephant's owner asked the mahout, sir, why, this elephant is so big and strong. The rope is just one small rope. Why is it not breaking the rope and running away? So that mahout said, no. When this elephant was a baby this high, we tied the same rope around its leg. And that time it couldn't break the rope. And as it grew up, it started believing that it cannot break the rope. And therefore you just tie a small rope to the leg, the elephant will not run away. So there are many such things that we are brought up with, some ideas that we are brought up with. Some beliefs, some ideas, something your parents will tell you, something your grandparents will tell you, and you grow up believing that this is actually the absolute truth. So you must be able at some time to rethink your priorities. A lot of conditioning happens, and therefore we have to see they don't become dogmas. Girls are more suited for arts. Dance is not for boys. I have grown up with these beliefs. I don't know whether you have grown up with these beliefs, but I have grown up with these beliefs. That engineering is not for girls. Definitely mechanical, civil engineering, definitely not for girls. Right? So if a girl must do medical, she must take an easy subject. She must do pathology or anesthesiology or something. She should not go to surgery or she should not go to something. I have grown up with these beliefs. Only bright children go to IITs and IIMs. Not necessary. You just have to crack that exam on that particular day. Your mood has to be right. Everything has to go as per plan. You will be there. So question such possibilities. Yeah. Now I promised you that I'll ask you the last question. After all this, you have got now 40 years of working life ahead of you. At the end of those 40 years, the country will be at some stage. What would you like the India of your dreams to be? What would you like? What would you like to see? You have seen the country as it is today. What would you like to see the country to be in the next 40 years?
No more unemployment, more educated people.
No, what's the first thing you said?
No more unemployment.
No more unemployment, more educated people. Good. Anybody else? End to pollution, fantastic. Anything else? Okay. Yeah.
Less corruption.
Less corruption, fantastic. Head girl, very good. No wonder. Yeah. What should be good? Sustainable development goals. Very good. Anybody else? Okay. I'll give you some pointers. There may be more which you may think about because you have more time to think about it than I do. Free of corruption. India should be free of corruption. There should be economic well-being, that all of us should have a little more money than we have today, make our lives a little more comfortable. There should be religious harmony. Do you want people to fight over religion? So, removal of poverty. You want to see removal of poverty? Yes. Somebody said pollution. You want a clean environment? Fantastic. Better governance. You want good leaders. You don't want thieves in government. Isn't it? You want role models whom you can look up to. Right? Free from external pressure. That means we should be Atmanirbhar. Nobody should, America or Russia or China should not be dictating terms to us. We should have our independent foreign policy. We should be strong, etc. We should be strong. We should be peaceful. Do you want war? Anybody wants war? We should be self-reliant. Better opportunities for education and growth. Somebody said better education. Strengthening of democratic institutions. Today we have, people saying that, the judiciary is not working properly, and our parliament is, got so many corrupt people in the parliament and all that. Democratic institutions, various institutions of governance need to work better. There should be more liberty and freedom of choice. That means you shouldn't have people telling you what to do, what not to do. You must have the greater freedom to do what you think is correct. There should be tolerance for diversity. That means people are different, accept that people are different. There should be equality for women. We talk about it. It's happening much slower than what we would like, but we want more equality there. Ethical use of technology. Do you want biological weapons? Do you want nuclear weapons? Do you want artificial intelligence to manipulate your minds? Or do you want ethical use of technology? Right? I want youth to remain in the country and work for the country. That is the India of my dreams. I don't want people to run away to USA and Europe after their undergraduate and never come back for the rest of their lives. I don't know whether it's part of your dream or it's part of my dream. So who will make it happen? Nobody else will make it happen. But you and me. More you than me because my time is over. I am only giving lectures. Okay, so it is more for you people to think over the next 40 years that if this is the India of your dreams as well, there may be more points, then how are you going to work towards it? If you agree with at least 5 of these points, then maybe you could dedicate part of your lives to do something about those 5 points. That could shape your career, it could shape your future. You would like to read more, study more, work in those fields. So I will just end with a small poem, and thereafter, if you want to say something, you want to ask me a question, I'll be happy. So this is a poem which you will find on the internet, and I found it very inspiring. I wish I had read it when I was in school. I didn't read it when I was in school. I read it much later. So it says, if you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub by the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a bush, be a bit of the grass, and happier some highway make. If you can't be a muskie, then just be a bass, but the liveliest bass in the lake. We can't all be captains. We've got to be crew. There's something for all of us here. There's big work to do and there is lesser to do. And the task you must do is the near. That means you pehle wo task karna hai. If you're a student, don't start thinking what you're going to do when you're a president of India. Do what you're supposed to do when you're a student. Right? If you can't be the highway, then just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. So, effectively, what I'm trying to tell you is that the world is wide open in front of you. There is no need to get stuck by stereotypes. There is no need to get, constrained by many external pressures. And there is a lot of good thinking that requires to be done if we have to progress towards a better future for ourselves and for successive generations. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ajmer. People are very happy that it's over. That's why the class, the applause is so long and so loud. But yes, it's been a long session, but I think I would not have done my duty if I had not said what I wanted to say. So if any of you have a question or have a comment to make, you can ask me. I am not certain that I'll answer all your questions, but I will try.
Yeah, stand. Just.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, can you please provide an overview of current challenges and future strategies of the Indian Navy?
Oh. Please sit down. Good question. So I didn't talk anything about the Navy at all, but that's fine. I can tell you, what, the Indian Navy, firstly let me tell you about the armed forces. Let me clarify a few things. Many people think that the armed forces are meant to fight wars. Right? They are not meant to fight wars. The armed forces are meant to preserve peace. That means you have to be so strong that nobody does anything that is detrimental to your interests. That means they know that India has got a strong armed forces, and therefore if we try anything adventurous with India, we are going to get a tough response. So that is how peace is maintained in the world, because peace is maintained from position of strength. So one, if you asked about the Indian Navy, firstly we have to be very strong. We have to be strong. We have to be self-reliant, dependent on ourselves. One country to provide us our equipment, manpower, equipment and technology, etc. So we have to be self-reliant. We have to be a force that maintains peace in the oceans around us. We will fight. When we have to fight, we will fight and we will win. Don't worry about that. You can sleep peacefully. But for the time being, when peace prevails in the world, we have to be a force for good. We have to make sure that peace prevails in the oceans around us? Because more than 90% of our trade comes through the seas. If our mercantile trade stops, our economy will be in the doldrums. Everything else will stop. And therefore, it is the primary responsibility of the Navy to make sure that peace prevails and economic well-being of our people are maintained. There are many challenges. Challenges are people who try to disturb peace. If our job is that we have to maintain peace, our challenge is against people who disturb the peace. So it is sometimes extra-regional forces who come to the Indian Ocean region with wrong intentions. We have people who are doing maritime terrorism, or there is piracy on the high seas, or there is armed robbery, various other things that happen. So the Indian Navy is fully involved in tackling all these threats. We want to see a peaceful Indian Ocean. We don't want the conflicts that are happening in the South China Sea and the Gulf to come into the Indian Ocean region. And so far, I think the Indian Navy is doing a good job of it. Hopefully, we will continue doing the same. But broadly, there are a whole lot of challenges. If I try to tell you this, I might to speak for 1 more hour. But basically, I have to cut it short, give you a one-line answer. The main challenge of the Indian Navy is to maintain the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, the day before yesterday, it was the day we celebrated 16th December, the Vijay Diwas. Pakistan naval ship Gaza was destroyed on this day. How this was pivotal and involved?
Gazi,
How
naval
this
ship
was
Gazi.
pivotal and involved?
How pivotal it was. Sit down. Okay. 16th December is when the instrument of surrender was signed by the Pakistani forces. Right? 16th December in Dhaka, the instrument of surrender was signed by General Niazi, who was the commander-in-chief of the Pakistani forces in Bangladesh, in East Bengal at that point. Sorry, East Pakistan at that point. And General Jagjit Singh Arora was the Eastern Command CNC on our side. Both of them were there when the instrument of surrender was signed. 93,000 Pakistani troops were captured. And because of that humiliation, Pakistan broke into two. And what was East Pakistan became Bangladesh. New country was born. So pivotal in the sense that it created a new nation. It created a new nation, and the best part is that if India had control over such a large territory of Bangladesh, it is to the credit of the Indian establishment at that time that within a month, the governance of that was handed to the local people and the Indian army moved out. We could have become an occupational force. Very easy to have done that at that point in time. But we allowed that country to become independent and become a democratic state in its own right. What is happening today in Bangladesh, of course, is of concern to us. But as far as the Navy is concerned, since I am a naval officer, one of the main events of the Indo-Pak War in 1971 was the attacks on Karachi on the 4th of December. That is when the Karachi and the oil dumps in Karachi, oil farms, ships of Karachi and the Karachi harbour was attacked by Indian Navy's missile boats. And they caused a huge deal of damage. It was one of the decisive events which led to the surrender of Pakistan. Of course, in conjunction with the army action in East Pakistan.
College side, anyone? Yes, Edgar, again.
Good afternoon, sir. So you talk about religious harmony. Sir, can you please explain what are the other ways we can overcome communalism other than education? Because this is the main concern these days affecting youth and our nation. Thank you.
Listen, right. So how do you ensure religious harmony? I am not qualified to answer this question, basically, because from time immemorial, from prehistoric ages or not prehistoric ages, later on, whenever we have had conflicts in the world, more conflicts in the world have been in the name of religion than in terms of pure conflicts between states. So, it is organized religion coupled with intolerance, which leads to this binary choice I was talking about. That means you are either a believer or a non-believer according to one faith. In some faith there is one God. If you believe in that God, you are a believer. As far as Hinduism is concerned, there are 33 million gods and goddesses. You can choose whomever you want. So there are differences, and these differences are highlighted and made more vicious by the clerics, by the people who misinterpret religion and get people to fight against each other. So no religion, no religious text tells people to kill in the name of religion. It is all the leaders of the religions who have to follow a more moderate line. They have to follow a more tolerant line, so that in the future, as we move on, there is less friction between the different communities. Very difficult in our country, which has such a huge population. There is so much poverty that anybody who makes a small offering to the masses, we tend to swing. So it is difficult, but what should I say? Let me give you a story from the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, the current Dalai Lama, he was in an interview. He said that he went to a religious conference somewhere in Europe, and the topic of the conference is how to maintain world peace. And he says, I have not seen so much fighting in any conference that I have been. So, there are hardened stands which are very difficult to, it is up to the religious leadership, it's up to the maturity of the world leaders and the religious leaders that can bring about this change. Education, of course, is the next option which you said has to be done from earlier.
Yes, that was more questions.
Done?
Yes,
Yes, please.
How can we manage our stress to balance work life?
I have spoken to some audiences on this. I have spoken to some audiences on life balance. And that itself is a 1 hour plus talk. But to answer your question, firstly, this term that we use, work-life balance, is a bit of a misnomer. Because work is part of life. You cannot go along life without work. So, what we are trying to say is, what is not work is life. And what is work is not life. So, firstly, I would like to call it life harmony or life balance. How do you balance? One is, are you trying to balance time? You know, is it that you are giving 12 hours at work and you are able to give only 6 hours at home? Or what? Are you trying to balance time? The biggest two things that you need, it's a mental issue. First is you have to balance identities. You are not balancing time. You are balancing identities. What are your identities? Your identities is you are a teacher, you are a mother, you are a daughter-in-law, you are a member of a community, you may be, there could be 10 other identities that you have. And for each of these identities, you have certain responsibilities. Are you able to discharge your responsibilities? Sometimes what happens is that by going very deeply into one aspect of your identity, you are neglecting many others, which is the problem with all of us, which we term as the imbalance of work life. So often you find that, and it mostly happens for working women, because there's a bit of a guilt playing in your mind that if you are working in some workspace, you are neglecting the home, or you are neglecting your children, or something like that. So, it is a choice that you have to make. There are some people who by nature tend to spend more time in the office. By nature. I've had people in the Navy who come in the morning at 8 o'clock and don't leave before 9 o'clock at night. What they do in the office, I don't know, but they are there. So obviously they are getting lesser time at home with other people. So the one is that you have to balance your identities. You have to make a choice. The choice is yours. And secondly, there is something called an engaged worker and a disengaged worker. If you're working for 12 hours in the office and you still feel enthused about it, you still, you feel that you're contributing something, that is the problem. So I think the basic idea, the basic answer to your question is you have to balance your identities. You have to see whether the time that you're spending at each place is adequate as per your aspirations, and it is a choice that you have to make. My learning over the last 40 years is that your life balance depends on two people, majorly. Your immediate boss at work, immediate boss, and at home it's your spouse. So the equation that you have with your immediate boss at work and your spouse at home largely determines your life balance. So if you can work this out, it's a bit of a tightrope walk. If you can work it out, maybe you'll be a bit happy. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So, what are Navy's plans and preparations to combat terrorist attacks like 26/11?
Fantastic. 26/11 was a slap on our face. It was a huge slap on our face. Because a group of 4 or 5 people entered one of our busiest cities through a highly populated fishing village in the middle of Bombay and came and played havoc with 4 or 5 locations in Bombay. I don't think there could have been a bigger humiliation for the Indian establishment, whether it is the political establishment or the armed forces or the police. I don't think there could be a bigger humiliation. But having said that, after that happened, a lot of activities have taken place to strengthen our coastal security mechanism. Earlier on, there were many gaps. Now we have a lot of measures. The coastal police has been formed. new force has been formed from the regular police force. There's a coastal police force. There are coastal radars. There are coastal, camera chains. There are other electronic means for identification. There are certain safeguards that have been put against outside fishermen coming to our ports, identifying them. There are transponders of various ports where we can identify who's where. But I cannot guarantee that we have a foolproof solution as yet. Because we have a coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers, right from Gujarat to West Bengal. And, monitoring every 100 meters of the coast is physically not possible with the kind of apparatus that we have. We are trying very hard. We are much better prepared than what we were in 2008, but we could do a little better.
Thank you, sir. I guess that was because there are many questions about we are having and it's a wonderful session indeed. Thank you so much. I humbly request you to me because it's been a long time that we speaking and enlightening session was there. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Twice, sir, it is address said about Sachin Tendulkar. Today is a special date. He debuted today in One Day International at Gujarat, Pakistan. So now, following the tradition, I humbly request Honorable President Ma'am to ceremonially present the token of gratitude to our Chief Speaker, Chief Guest, retired Admiral Gupta, sir. Please, sir. So this remains in the corner of your study room and it reminds you of this day and the memory which we got. A huge round of applause. What the day is for us. Now I humbly request Treasurer Ma'am Neha Ma'am to ceremonially present the token of gratitude to Ma'am Dasgupta, please. If you can come on stage, ma'am, can be escorted to the stage. Yes, ma'am. Indeed, your presence is. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I humbly request Honorable Secretary, sir, to present the token of gratitude to Commander Manish Singh. Please, sir. Today is the day when both the gentlemen are there. We unveiled on 20th August 2024. INS Bhupan Anchor was unveiled by sir. Gentlemen is also there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the ceremonial vote of thanks by Honorable Secretary, sir, would be fair enough.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we draw this enlightening 5th Pandit Deen Mishra Memorial Lecture to a close, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks, what some call the navigation out of an event. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Vice Admiral Biswajit Das Gupta, sir. Your lecture today on navigating through life has been nothing short of extraordinary. Your words were not just wisdom, they were like a compass guiding us through the storms of life. Listening to you was an absolute masterclass in leadership, resilience, and navigating challenges. We are truly honored, sir. A very special thanks to Ma'am Sarpani Das Gupta for joining us. They say behind every great man is a greater woman. And in your case, ma'am, I suspect Vice Admiral Das Gupta navigates smoother waters because of your unwavering support. My heartfelt appreciation also to Commander Manish Singh, Commanding Officer, 2 Raj Naval Unit NCC. Sir, you and your team truly brought a sense of discipline and pride to the event. We are truly honored by the presence of esteemed armed forces veterans among us in the audience. We extend our deepest gratitude to you all, to each one of you, for your invaluable contribution, both during your years of active service and in the continued leadership that you bring to the society today. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of the members and cadets of 2 Raj Naval Unit NCC. Your discipline and commitment inspire us, and it was a pleasure having you all today. To our distinguished guests, faculty members, students and staff, thank you for making this event a grand success. I would like to thank the organizing committee and every individual who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth execution of this program. Finally, to our audience, thank you for being a part of this lecture and for listening with such interest. As I conclude, let me leave you with this thought. Life is like sailing. Sometimes you're smooth on calm seas. Other times, you're clinging to the mast during a storm. The trick is to keep your compass steady and never abandon ship. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful experience. Now, following the tradition, the ceremony, I humbly request everyone to stand in honor of national anthem. Now, there will be another part where we will have a visit from there, then we will proceed.